Welcome to another episode of High Proof Ashes. I'm Jason JB Smoke, and we are on location again at our local spot, OCL, Code Cigar Lounge. Across from me, my other co-host.
You know who it is, Mr. No Cool Nickname. We back at it. And we got a guest this week.
Got a great guest this week.
Yeah, man. We've been trying to get for a little while, right?
That's right. So we have our friend here, Will, who is on the road all the time, so it's hard to get him.
I agree.
But how you doing, Will?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man.
What's not to love? Good cigars, good bourbon, good people.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So Will has picked our cigar for the day, and we are going to be doing the newest edition of the CAO Amazon Basin, not the extra añejo.
No,
correct.
So this
the
was
regular Amazon Basin.
Regular Amazon Basin, yeah. The one that was released in just past January.
Yes.
Right. And be happy to get into this.
Yeah.
It's a favorite for all of us, right? Like I think we all prefer the extra añejo, but you can't beat this cigar either. Like it's phenomenal, right?
Absolutely.
So not surprising that he picked this out.
Of course.
No, I went all in 2 boxes the second they came out.
Absolutely.
2 boxes, and
Can't go wrong.
We always talk, it's multiple cigars in one. What's not to love?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And then you have a spirit for us that you
Yes.
did some digging and found that this one should pair very well with a cigar.
Yeah, everything I saw online, even all the way up to CAO themselves recommended you get a Pinot Noir or a single malt to go with this. They say it's got a nice balance of flavors. So, it was funny enough. I went into Red Hot yesterday to get my bottle.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's sitting there already there.
I
going
went
through bourbon.
Yeah, I went looking for something specific.
So, of course, the first thing I see is they actually barrel released one at the start of the year. I want to think it was called Foundation, maybe.
Okay.
It was a white label, and it was the exact profile I wanted for this. Unfortunately, they didn't have it. It came out in January, sold out immediately. So then I walk in. This happens to be, obviously, a Red Hot, that first section there.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I read the label, so the really unique thing that I thought it would go well with is the Tell of Two Islands rum they made.
Yeah.
This is their bourbon. It's a mix of 2 5-year, 2 6 years, and 1 9-year bourbons that they've aged in those rum casks.
That should be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to getting into that
I
one.
think it'll have a nice little mix, and I left it unopened, so it is blind for all of us.
Yeah, this is totally a clean crowd.
All right, so what we should do then, before we light our cigars, we should probably taste it.
Absolutely.
We should taste it on a clean, dry palate, and then go into our cigars, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the numbers real quick on the barrel. On the bottle.
Yeah.
So this is first edition. As Will said, they have 5 years on the bottle, but that's because it's the minimum age. And it is at a 118 proof.
Okay.
So
slightly lower than some barrel stuff.
Yeah.
I know that rum's in
I like that
130ish.
number, though.
I do too. I think it's right in our sweet spot, right?
Yeah,
we always
absolutely.
talk about that 110 to 120 range.
Yes. Just enough to have some good flavor with a little aging, smooth it out, get some of that all out of there.
Yeah, and the back label has a lot of information on it. I'm not going to read it, but maybe I'll get a picture of it before you head on out, and I can go ahead and post that. And you can pause the video and read it yourself.
Yes, sounds good.
But hey, let's crack it.
Go for it, man.
Looks like this is just a little paper seal right here.
If not, I've got my handy dandy trusty knife.
That's it. They didn't go crazy with it.
Okay, I love that.
Like,
don't make it difficult.
Hey, good call on trying it before the cigar. At the price point, I have very high hopes.
Yes, we should definitely taste it,
Yes.
Neat and on a clean, dry palate, just so we know what we're getting ourselves into. And then we can talk about how it, really pairs with the cigar after doing it. All right, let's see here. Y'all gonna see me pour a little more than I normally do because we're going for a longer episode here.
I'll be my guest.
All right.
Hey, I like that aroma.
I do too. So
really nice and pleasant.
Yeah, you can smell the rum on it.
Yeah, that's like a nice summer bourbon.
There's no ethanol.
No.
All right, let's see what we get into here.
I get the rum cask flavor.
Absolutely.
Quick.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like,
because I love rum too, and like this gives me, it's like two worlds, at the same time.
Yo, that is impressive. Not even gonna lie, like that is a bottle right there.
Well, it's nice because it's got that sweet flavor of the rum, but it's still got the body of a bourbon.
Absolutely.
That you tend to lose a lot of
Yeah.
when you get into those rum barrels.
It has this molassesy kind of back into it, you know?
It's super viscous too, right? Like,
Yes.
and it lingers. It lingers. That's the beauty. So,
well, and it's nice because it's got enough heat, but it's not an overpowering heat.
no, not at all.
It doesn't get caught up in the chest. Doesn't feel like you ate too many hot wings.
Especially because I don't know about you guys. I haven't had a drink today.
No, I've not.
Right? So this is, when I say clean, dry palate, this is a fresh drink for all of us.
I've had water.
Yes, right. So the fact that like it didn't hurt at all, right, is amazing. So I know normally, like if I start this high proof on, clean, dry palate, every once in a while you get that little burn on the tongue where you're like, oh, wasn't ready. This had none of that,
which is really nice, especially at that proof.
Yeah, I agree.
Sitting closer to 120 and still not having that, kick to it. It is really nice. I like that. I get some nice fruit in that. I think that'll be really nice with that stick.
So, yeah. Speaking of, let's do this.
Let's get into it.
Let's rock.
So, no frills.
Nah,
you pull that thing out and it's just a cigar with this the twisted.
There's something nice about that, though.
Like the simplicity of it.
There really is.
That means the cigar the taste of a cigar is going to speak for itself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No marketing gimmick.
Nothing extra, no craziness.
No.
Let's see if Big Betty will be good to me today. Yeah, there you go.
Cold draw's nice.
That is truly everything you want in a cigar, man.
Absolutely fantastic.
Like,
well, and after that drink, that's nice.
It's
it complements it. It really,
I love it. The first thing that just powers through is just that earthy notes to it. Just cedar, just everything you would want out of a full-bodied cigar.
And it's a little spicy.
Yeah.
I
get really good baking spice every time I've ever smoked any Amazon Basin year's release. I get such good baking spice out of it. Nice little kick of cedar in it.
Yep.
It just,
and it's done so well, right? Like the construction is great. I mean, you can just tell the combustion is really great as well. I mean, man, listen.
This is everything you want in a cigar. It's right here.
Yeah. Well, and I always find it to be just about perfect every time they have put this out, is because it's got just tight enough tobacco that you're not getting all the heat coming straight through, but it's still got it loose enough that you don't have to constantly relight because you can't get a good draw.
Yeah.
It's just everything about this stick, and the price point's just absurd when you can actually find it. That
absurdly good. Absurdly good.
Yeah, it's a $14 stick when you get a box. It's bananas.
It is.
It makes no sense.
If you know when they drop and you go ahead and make the purchase right there. You don't wait.
No,
don't
you
think about
do
it.
Like no thoughts, you just push the
do it.
button.
You just push the button.
Yeah, like get it done.
Because when they hit, they're gone in a day or two or whatever. Like they're just gone.
When it's like I've said for a while, I think it doesn't matter what they charge for this stick. I think it'll sell out just as much as it does now.
Like this is one of those sticks that we said for a fact that it smokes under its price point, or it smokes above its price point.
Yeah,
right? So like
punches above its weight class.
Like at $14, like you could easily take this up to a $17, $18 cigar,
Absolutely.
and like nobody would pitch a fit.
No,
easily.
Right? Like, and then if you talk about the big brother, the extra añejo, like now you're talking about a cigar that could easily. I won't say what I think that cigar is worth. They might go do something stupid, like and raise the price way up there. But this is a phenomenal stick. There are not too many that I enjoy as much as this one. Right?
No.
You get your money's worth out of this cigar.
Yeah.
Like, you enjoy every moment of it.
Oh yeah, and you get so many moments out of it because
literally.
it's such a good long smoke.
Yeah, it's not a cigar that happens in 30 minutes.
No, and if it does, you're not tasting it.
Yeah.
We've got a couple guys here that smoke like that.
Yes, yeah.
They'll go through a digger in 90 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, this is definitely something you don't need to rush. You're going to get the flavor changes throughout the cigar.
Yeah.
It seems to never stop changing.
No.
It's,
I feel like, every 10 minutes or so, it's like, oh, there's a different little nuance there.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've constantly said, and like even past like little nuances, like it's 3 different cigars
Mhm.
in one. You're the first third, the second third, and the final third. You're getting different cigars.
Yeah.
Completely out of it.
It's super complex.
I've said from the first one I smoked, which would have been the 2023 release, that it genuinely, in my opinion, is bang for your buck, as good of a cigar that you can possibly get on this planet.
I don't disagree with that statement.
When you can get it, obviously,
Right.
but bang for your buck, I don't think anything even comes close.
No, I mean,
You know,
I can't think of anything.
Well,
Well, that's not true. The UC10, right? Like I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But I still think this is a leaps and bounds better cigar than
Yes.
so they're basically the same price.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
because this is equal in both length and flavor to 2 or 3 cigars,
Mhm.
it's like you're paying $5
Mhm.
per cigar.
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so bang for your buck. There's just not, the only thing that punches higher than this would be the extra Añejo version of
Yes.
this.
Of
Yes.
this. Yes.
Exactly.
So, like, that's it.
Yeah.
But those only come out every 3
Yeah.
years or so. And of course, we never know if those are coming out, right?
No.
They just, I think they announce it a couple of months ahead of time, and
Yeah.
that's
Good
that.
luck.
Yeah, right. Good luck. You better be looking.
Open the dams.
Yeah, you better be
Yeah,
looking.
because we
Yeah.
listen. Anytime we see them, we buy them. So
Yeah.
it happens that way.
Well, and it's so incredible how CAO just got it right with this, the extra añejo, and the Arcana coil.
So that's one of the things that kind of crazy to me, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do they have so many SKUs
Yes.
and only
3.
I've
3.
only found 3 that I enjoy.
Yes. Agreed.
Like, so how do you mess up all of those? And again, I don't want to say mess up because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that enjoy them,
Yeah.
right? But how do you make these that are 3 that are phenomenal? I mean, just like top bangers, and then the rest of your line is just kind of eh.
I think these were the first. I think these were the first 3 that they were really gauged towards cigar smokers, not people that smoke cigars.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think these were the
And
first 3.
also the raw materials available for these 3 that we're talking about,
Yeah.
this big compared to the raw materials for their other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a
You know what I
tiny region of
Like-
Brazil.
Yeah, like the all these other SKUs that they have, like they have no trouble getting that
Yeah.
that raw
true.
material. Plus, those are way cheaper.
Yeah.
Like most of their other stuff is sub $10.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So like I think the Ritmo line is a little bit higher, but
Uh-huh.
the Synchro line might be a little bit over 10. But
Yeah.
like everything else is sub $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think to answer your question, it's that they're making a cigar for a different market than these are made for.
Mhm.
I get it.
So, and we can talk about other brands that do that too.
Mhm.
Where they have
Oh yeah.
1 or 2 or 3.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm thinking of one right now.
I mean,
Who
say
is
it
it?
like.
Who is it? Rocky Patel.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I mean,
He's
again,
got 2 or 3 really good ones, and
Yeah.
then the other ones are average.
Here will be a
Right.
bold take. I think the biggest example is one that only has one good stick, and that's good old Davidoff.
a
They've
lot
got the late-
lot of people would disagree with you. I'm not a Davidoff guy either, but
There's
a
no
lot of people
just
would disagree. The late
No
hour,
flavor. The late hour is the only one.
I tried in Nicaragua. I want to say that was very good.
Yeah.
But I for one, the Davidoff line is just way too light for my palate,
Yes.
and the price point
And at
is way too
$30 a
much.
stick,
Yeah, like,
you better give me something.
like
Again, made for a different market.
yes, it is.
They are not made for us. So,
Yeah.
like, it just is what it is.
Mhm.
So, but since we're kind of getting into all these various cigar things, Will.
Yes.
So I seem to recall you telling us once before that you had gotten into cigars at quite a young age.
Yes.
So why don't you dive into some history here and tell us how you got into cigars?
So I smoked my first cigar at 15 years old, very responsibly. We've got family that live just outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. My cousin Pat and Cindy, and my cousin Pat works within a certain capacity construction, and he's always done very well. They live a very nice life, and growing up, I would always see him smoking cigars, and I kind of equated that to a success.
Don't disagree.
Yeah, it became a status symbol. It was, it was the Mercedes.
We talked about this
Yeah.
before on the podcast about the kind of the provenance and
Yes.
the status that it kind of
Exactly.
portrays. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. You know, growing up, I liked the movie Scarface, of course. You know, watching him cut up a cigar, you know, and then watching my cousin always smoke them. And there was just something about it. I always loved the smell.
Yeah.
And it was always so unique because I was never a fan of the smell of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the chemicals.
You know,
You can smell the chemicals.
Yes, exactly.
And the paper burning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
this always just smelled like tobacco.
Mhm.
And that was awesome because, you know, my mom's father, he passed away before I ever got to meet him, but he was a big pipe tobacco smoker.
yes.
And then her house still had that scent of pipe tobacco in it.
Very nice.
So I always loved that smell. And then my half brother, his grandfather, he used to smoke pipe.
Okay.
So there was just something about that scent. And then going into cigars, the same type of scent, not the sweetness necessarily of many pipe tobaccos these days, but just that scent of burning tobacco always kind of was something I was a big fan of. And then, you know, I got done with high school and we went to a race day at Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky, where my parents live. And Pat asked me if I wanted to have a cigar. And, you know, at the time I'm 16. So I kind of looked at mom. It's like, you mind? And yeah, I got about halfway through it. And funny enough, this is kind of ironic that we brought it up now, and it's funny to watch how our palates develop. And I would never smoke it now. It was a Rocky Patel. I remember still exactly.
Do you remember which one?
Edge.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
That's a highly popular cigar.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Like,
No. And I mean, it was the first cigar. You know, it was. Yeah, I wasn't smoking backwoods.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's-
like, you know,
Like, you know, I wasn't clearing out a club.
it wasn't a black
you know.
and mild.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, I had that, and you know, throughout the next few years, I would smoke. You know, pretty much when I would go out to party with Jeremy, we would go out, and I would always have a cigar before we went out, and over time, it gradually morphed into something where I realized I wasn't smoking just to relax, which a lot of it was, as I think a lot of us in here. That's, you know, that's the time we breathe. But it got to the point where it was like, oh, I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the different flavors. And as I had more sticks over time, and then it got to the point of, you know, being, you know, twice a week, and then, you know, 3 times a week. And then, you know, if I went through a box a week, you know, I gradually developed more and more of a palate. And, you know, unfortunately, my bank account wasn't happy about that, as I'm sure none of ours are.
You ain't lying there.
Yeah, that we always say this is not a sport for the weak. Like, you know, your bank account can get hurt pretty quickly in this
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Like, you know.
But it was just, and it just evolved more and more. And then it became one of those things where I realized, you know, although you do kind of still view certain things as a status symbol, you know, when you go to a major city and you see the big bar, the Monte Cristo lounges and, you know, the Drew Estate lounges, it's still a status thing.
Oh, by course. Like,
It's a suit, you know, Casa Fuente in Vegas. It's
Like,
still a suit and tie thing.
Absolutely.
But,
Absolutely.
you know, it then morphed into something more, whether it's our group or just anyone that comes in here, where then it evolved more into a love of the community that came around cigars.
Absolutely.
You know, it stopped being just about smoking, and it got to the point of, you know, maybe I'm out on my motorcycle and it's like, you know, I just want to go see some of the guys, and it was just, and then I just end up smoking.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've come in here not planning to smoke, and I end up 2 cigars deep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get stuck.
Yeah.
Get stuck. But it's part of the culture, right? Like, it's a bunch of people that have something in common already. It just makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all of us met because of our love of cigars.
Yeah.
You know, it's like literally, and I think all of us would agree. Like now, it's kind of weird if we don't see each other for a little while.
It
Right?
is.
Like it's like Will goes out of town for 3 months. And we're like, damn, anybody talk to Will?
Yeah.
Corey,
You know, like
Corey showing up.
yeah, like
yesterday.
last night, right?
I was like, oh my
like,
God.
yo, nice to see you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
ain't seen you in like a month, you know?
I know.
I mean, luckily I seen him prior to that, but it took an act of God to catch up with him on the night that we caught up. It was just
Yeah.
happened to be at an award ceremony, but you know, but it's the bond that
Yeah.
keeps us together, right? Like, so the cigars are the thing,
Mhm.
but truthfully, like for me, the evolution has become the camaraderie with my friends, right?
Yes,
like I
absolutely.
enjoy the cigar, but
Yeah.
more or less, sometimes it's just the idea of being in a room full of like-minded people, and sometimes not like-minded people that can challenge me.
Yes.
And bring different thought process to what I'm doing. So I think that's the beauty of it, man. So,
and like I've always explained it to people when they ask about my home lounge when I'm on the road and things like that. I've always described this place as a barbershop without haircuts. It's just a bunch of guys shooting shit.
Yeah.
And, and that's kind of the way I've always explained it to people when they ask, like, okay, how's the crowd? Like, and they're looking for a more divisive answer.
Yeah.
And I just explain, like, you walk in the door, no one gives a shit what you believe in. Just believe in cigars and be a good person.
Yes.
I don't care if we agree, we don't agree. As long as you can sit down and be a mature, good human being, and we can sit there and have a talk. And, we've had heated conversations in here before.
Absolutely.
And you know what?
Ones.
And they're over, and we smoke a cigar. And it's like, damn, what do you think about that stick? And all that bullshit's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I think a lot of people forget that. And it's just, I've used the phrase in here. There's a lot of nights we have those serious conversations, and it's like, these are the conversations, people don't want American citizens having.
Oh no, dude! Last night, right? Like we were sitting out front of the lounge, me and Jason, Pat, a couple other people, and we were talking about TikTok. We ain't gonna get into all that, right? But we were. It's just like so. It was a real good conversation that came from it. He had one point of view. I had another point of view. By the end of it, he was like, So like we were literally going, but we won't go into that, right? Like, but it happens all the time.
Well, and I think like it's a kind of a haven, like safe space, right? Where like we're all comfortable enough to be able to talk to each other about almost anything,
absolutely,
and feel okay, with sharing that point of view or that passion or whatever, and getting feedback and commentary and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you don't grow if you're not challenged.
Thank you.
Right.
You've got to be challenged.
Thank you.
Whether it be physically, mentally, in opinion, you've got to have some pushback, or you're never going to learn how to push.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the whole thing. It's it's easy to fight when things are going good. But it's what's happened when you're taking the punches. You get up or you lay down. And and that's the nice thing about having such a diverse group of people that come in here.
Yeah.
We've got, every religious belief, every political belief, every race, every financial background, every life background. We've got everything from soldiers to hippies, black, white, rich, poor.
Well, I think really the important thing, or the thing that makes it different, is that we're doing all this in person.
Yes.
Right. This is not over social media, right? Where your algorithms are just feeding you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you come into a place like this, you're going to get exposed to people who are not like you.
Yeah. Yes. We're not going to imright.com.
Right. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I think, and that sort of thing. And I think it's great to, for people to have the exposure to other points of views and perspectives and all that kind of stuff. Like it's important to personal growth. It's important to mental sanity.
Yeah.
Like, because, if you cordon yourself off, from the rest of the world, you can think that the rest of the world's out there to get you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, when you get into a community like this, you can really, really see that the world's not out to get you.
No, God, no.
Okay. You just need to get out there and actually interact with people face to face. There's just no substitute.
When it's a great juxtaposition to the digitizing of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer, and that's the good old, Mike Tyson saying, social media has made you all way too comfortable saying things and not getting punched in the mouth. Mm-hmm. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like, when you have that face to face, people do naturally maintain a certain level of respect because
because there could be consequences.
Yeah, you don't have the anonymity.
Yeah,
you don't have the anonymity.
No,
and so
can't be a keyboard warrior.
That's
a room full of people.
You can't be.
It's like no one's saying you can't say something wild.
Like you just gotta deal with what comes from it. Like
no one's saying I can't rob a bank, but I might have to deal with some cops.
Yeah,
the reality is you don't see trolls in real life.
No,
because
they don't leave their house.
They wouldn't last a day.
No,
somebody would do something. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to bring us back for a second.
All right.
What do you guys think about this bourbon, man?
Dude,
I'll be real honest. I think the cigar opens it up even more.
It's amazing.
I was going to say, I
think
they sort of open each other up. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this cycle going of like the bourbon's making the cigar better, the cigar's making the bourbon better. Like
I find that it brings out so much of that nice rum complexity with the cigar. I think it brings out a lot more of that fruit and sweetness to it, and it goes it's a really nice balance.
Give me a nice, another pour.
He's like, let me stop playing.
yeah, let me just stop. We're gonna be here a little while. We hanging out. Like, let's do this. For
I was
real.
gonna say, I think I'm gonna end up following your suit before long. Here.
Listen, man, like
That's a
it's
great
that good.
bourbon.
Like when I started smoking a cigar and drinking together, I was like, oh my god, I can't stop. Like, I need to.
Yeah.
And I tried. I put both down. Like you see me, I normally don't put my cigar
Listen, I
down.
noticed that your cigar was down. I'm like, what's he doing?
I normally don't put my cigar down, but it started to get a little too good, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna blow through this cigar and way too fast.
Right.
Any thoughts on it so far? Like the nuances, any of that type stuff? And like I don't. Oh my god, it's so good.
Like for me, I get the bourbon on the front end.
Yes.
Which is nice, right?
Absolutely.
I get your standard kind of bourbon flavors on the front end, but immediately it transitions to the rum flavors.
Yes.
With like this bourbon backing to it almost,
Yes.
right? And then you get that kind of molassesy aged rum,
Yeah.
sugary.
It's almost like smoked fruit. You're getting the front end of that bourbon, and like you said, that backing of the rum barrels with the bourbon.
Right.
So it's becoming like that dried fruit mixed with baking spices.
It's like you have
It's
this sweetness of corn, but then you also have this sweetness of like brown sugar molasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And those are kind of coming together.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really nice compliment. And then you've got the cigar just lending itself to it as well. Like, I mean, come on, let's go.
And it's nice because I'm the ultimate cynic, and when I see a price tag, I want to think that one was about $94.
Okay.
And when I see that, the part of me does have the high hopes, but then part of me also, still being the cynic, just says, there's no way this is going to live up to what they're saying it is by that price point.
So,
But it does.
I think it does.
It does.
I mean, and I'm skeptical of bottles that once you reach that that $70 price point, you better be damn good over that, right?
Mhm.
This is one.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you mentioned it. I'm reading him again. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says that the rum barrel that they put the bourbon in had been matured in a peated Islay single malt barrel.
Yes.
Really?
So it started with an Islay barrel.
Yes.
They put rum in that, made the rum, and then they put the bourbon in it.
So that's where it's kind of getting some of that smokiness from.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's why it's complementing the cigar so well. Is
Yeah.
the sweetness, that smokiness is somehow
Mhm.
getting I don't
Well,
know.
and it's nice because with that single malt having been before, you're not getting any of that peatiness.
No.
Mm-mm.
That absolutely none of it. It's such a nice, like the way I would explain it, it's approachable. It's not something you would be scared of if that was your first drink of the day. Even if you weren't someone like us, where it's we do this.
Yeah, we're used to higher proof.
Yeah.
Like this is still
even
subtle.
close to 120. This still isn't one of those things where typically once you start to get around that 120, that's when you get in. If that's your first drink,
That's where it's hot.
it's just like, huh.
Yeah, that's where it's hot, right?
That's
Yeah,
heartburn.
we did one a few episodes ago where it was like 130 plus, and we hadn't drank anything.
yeah, we
today,
didn't
like,
prime it all.
Yeah, right. We took that drink. We were like, "Hello, wake
Senses are awake. Like,
wake up!"
all awake.
So this didn't do that.
No.
And that was really nice.
Yeah, no, this is great, man. I'm a big fan of this. This is one of those ones, and it's a really nice timing with the seasons changing. This is something I could have in warm months.
Yeah.
And be perfectly fine with. It doesn't have that heavy oakiness that I don't want to say cheaper in quality, but cheaper in price, like a Knob Creek would have.
Yeah.
Something like those products that have that very distinct oakiness to them.
I don't normally drink bourbon over ice, but I feel like summer months sitting on a porch with a stick, this over ice,
Oh yeah.
might be phenomenal, right?
Especially with that sweetness coming through.
Yeah,
at the end.
man. Like
Yeah.
I also feel like it might be a problem too, because if you put it over ice, it would make it that much easier
Oh,
to drink,
yeah,
and you
you'd
could probably
tear
go through
through
a
it.
half a bottle in
Yeah.
an afternoon. Go to stand up, and
Right.
might be like one of our friends that we know.
Yeah.
I won't call him out on the podcast, but I'll let him tell his story when we get him on.
Well, funny enough, actually, there's another bottle on the table that actually that exact description reminds me of, and that's the Midwinter.
Yeah.
That's
The
one of
Dram is a
those
problem, bro.
That's a half bottle before you have any clue what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, easy.
You tear through that, and it's like you don't realize it till you get up to take a piss,
And you're
and then
like-
it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
There it is.
this is
How
where I
long have I
parked
been
my
here?
car.
How long have I been
I'm
here?
still smoking one cigar. Like,
Like-
what's going on here? Oh wait, it's a 2-hour cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
I know I did it one night. It was the first time anyone had ever brought that in. It was actually it was, hell, it's been years now. It was actually Andy Peters that brought in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that, and I stood up, and the closest thing I can compare it to, and we had been having sampling other drinks as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you know the old county fairs, they had a thing called the Gravitron.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
It felt like that as soon as I stood up. It felt like I was standing on a Gravitron and just spinning, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, I'm in trouble now.
And I remember it was Miss Jackie working, and I was like, "Miss Jackie, would you mind grabbing me a couple waters out of the back, please?"
Mm.
Bless her soul, she went and grabbed them for me. I was like, I got to sit for a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I gotta chill. I gotta wait this one out a little bit.
Yeah, and like you said, on a nice summer night, you know, sun goes down, 80, 85 degrees. Have this on some ice, man.
So I feel like this is a good opportunity to remind the folks to
Drink responsibly.
drink responsibly.
Please drink responsibly, folks.
Don't spill.
Yeah. But no, if you notice, like all three of us have water. You know, so we're trying our best to drink responsibly. But here's part of the problem, right? Like normally it's just me and you. You add a third person to this, right? And it really does become like a full-blown lounge atmosphere.
It does.
Yes, right? Like
So you see how we are with 3 people. You can imagine how we are on a
with a room full.
with a room full on a Whiskey Wednesday,
Right.
or, whatever.
Oh hell, the birthday parties. You know, last
Yeah.
night I bet we had 40 people back here.
Yeah, for sure, easily.
I mean, you know, this room was full, and we still had the table full of food, and it was still everyone standing here.
Mm-hmm.
The front room, by the time I left at 9:30, was absolutely swamped. You know, there were chairs out front.
Yeah, I mean, it was real. Last night was real. Like, you know, shout out to Big Bro Drew. Happy birthday.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Big 55.
Big
Shout
55,
out, Drew.
double
Right.
nickel.
Double nickel.
You know what I'm saying? We had a ball, though. We had a ball, man. So it was good stuff. But let's get another question for Will. So let's see. I know that you are a big sneaker buff.
Yes.
How did that start?
So, you know, growing up, we always had what we needed. But there were just, you know, naturally there were things we always saw in the magazines and the catalogs at Christmas time that we wanted, you know, we couldn't afford. And, you know, obviously as a kid, you don't really understand.
Yeah.
And then you get a little older, and then, you know, your first time buying groceries for yourself, you're like, what the? No wonder. Never mind.
No wonder I couldn't have them shoes.
Yeah. It's like, you know, I go and, you know, a box of Pop-Tarts, $8.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like 50 cents as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you get older, and then, you know, I'm hearing, you know, growing up, I remember the first time Jordans got over $100.
Yeah.
And I remember that was like, what? Like, that's insane. $100 pair of shoes.
Yeah.
But it's like naturally as a kid when you see your friends with them,
You want 'em.
you want them. And
Or you don't want to be left out.
yes,
You don't
that's
wanna be
more
left
of
out.
it.
That's a bigger part.
It was never
right?
the shoes. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, they've got these.
They
Like,
got-
I need these.
I need these too. Or I'm not going to be.
Or I need one up.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, so I just, there was something to them as well. And me, you know, I was fortunate enough, I played college baseball, but, you know, I always, you know, I'll still go to the grave saying, you know, I was a pitcher. And that's not the most athletic position. I've always been amazed by highly athletic humans.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Sprinters, basketball players, wide receivers.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible human beings to me. So I would see all these things, and, you know, growing up in that era, it's like Michael Jordan was just, you know, I was fortunate enough, I actually saw him in his final year playing.
Nice.
You know,
Okay.
my brother took me up to Cleveland when the Wizards were playing the Cavaliers
Gotcha.
in 2001 or 2002. It was before James came into the league.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about, you know, it was the old like Mike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was something about the shoes.
Yeah.
I thought if I put them on, you know,
You could be that guy too.
I'm gonna be 6'4" and black. Neither one of those things happened. But, you know,
I don't even have a response to that.
yeah, you know, hey. But I, you know, it's as I got a little older, you know, I started working jobs, and I was never making much. You know, I was basically just hanging around, you know, minimum wage and close to it. And, you know, I was very fortunate enough to start my current career, and I had a bit of a knack for it, and I started to make some decent money. And then, you know, it was funny. I didn't actually start buying, you know, quote unquote new release shoes. I would find the ones that I wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
And I would buy that pair,
Yeah.
not a retro version of that.
No,
pair.
you would go.
I
Get
would
that
buy
pair.
the originals.
Yeah, the '84.
Yes, that
Yeah.
I wanted. You know, I still to this day I have my favorite pair of Jordans ever made. My first pair was the 2001 True Blue Jordan 3s.
Ah, okay, those are fire too.
And I saw them and I wanted them. I've still got them. I bet I haven't worn them 6 times.
Well, at this point, as old as they are, man, if you put them on, they unfortunately.
Well, no, because they didn't have the foam like the
So
ones
they wouldn't
did.
crumble
So
up.
they won't crumble.
Okay.
I can still wear them. I wear it typically, you know, if we're courtside for a UK basketball game, I'll wear them there.
I got you.
You know, but I just there was you know, I've always said the strongest drug in the world is nostalgia. You know, we all think about what it was like being a kid, the video games,
Absolutely.
you know, calling Pizza Hut at 10 p.m. to get, you know,
Yes.
all that. So, you know, I went, you know, crazy on nostalgia. I bought all these pairs of shoes that I wanted as a kid. You know, 1s, 3s, and 4s were always my big ones for Jordans. And, you know, I loved SB Dunks.
Yeah.
I grew up playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Okay.
So, you know, funny
Dope
enough.
game. If you ain't played it, you.
The best.
Your childhood sucked.
Like,
I'm just saying.
That's a great game.
The best game.
Yeah.
I always said that was my only regret is like
I couldn't go 2 feet on a skateboard, but that
No.
game,
I had no balance.
Yeah.
I was like a baby giraffe. Like just every ounce of athleticism leaves my soul the second I get on a skateboard.
absolutely.
And it was just
man.
so yeah. Naturally, I just kind of went crazy, and you know, I started to realize there was a big community around it, and fortunately, I really got into it before the social mediaification of sneaker culture.
Yeah.
This
Now it's kind of crazy now.
yeah, like I was before that. You know, I was before the real market boom. You know, and I got out of it for quite a few years. You know, the Concord 11s released, and there was like 30 nationwide shootings over them.
Yeah.
And that's why they stopped actually doing in-person releases. And I kind of dipped out after that because I was like,
people are dying over
dog,
sneakers.
it's shoes.
Yeah, people are dying over
What is
sneakers.
wrong with you?
Yeah, it's a pair of shoes that realistically you're probably not going to wear but 1 or 2
Yeah.
times, like, or if at all. Like
No, you
a lot of
wouldn't.
these people.
I mean, most people
selling,
that are the
A lot of-
wholesalers are out there, but I think most people that are true sneakerheads, like you, like
Yeah.
a Will, like it's kind of like us in bourbon, right? Like I'm not buying a bottle of bourbon to put
Okay.
it away. I'm gonna drink it.
Mhm.
Right.
Will is one of the sneakerheads that he's not buying a pair of shoes
No.
not to wear them. He's going to wear them.
I've literally one of the most famous releases in the past few years were a Travis Scott fragment
God.
Jordan 1 lows.
Yeah.
They're blue, black, and white. Resell. We're going for $2,000 at one point. I'd lift in them. Like they're shoes.
Yeah.
It's like people that have cars that
Yeah.
just sit in a garage. It's like,
Right.
Why?
Why'd you buy it?
Why do you have that?
Why'd you buy it?
I had a guy that was giving me flack recently about, I've got, I'm on my Harley, I've got white walls on it. And he was giving me flack about having dirt on my white walls. I'm like, it's a motorcycle.
I'm riding it.
They're wheels that touch the ground, like it's outdoors. Like
I just rode it 250 miles. Like,
right.
yes, it's not clean. What do you think it was going to be? Like, it's not a trophy.
Right.
It's a motorcycle. And it's, I've
It's
never
not a
understood
museum
it.
piece.
Yeah, no. And it's like, I think probably the primest example in my life is there's one camera brand called Leica.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most famous camera brand of all time.
Mhm.
And I've got, I've been very fortunate. I've got 4 of them. And one of them is my prized possession. I've always said if my house
Remember
burned
when
down,
you got it?
yeah, I
remember when you got it.
If my house was burning, I would grab. I've got a photo of my grandfather. I've got a note my dad wrote me, and then I've got my Leica, and that's all I would grab, and I would get out of the house.
Okay.
And it's like it's so they were all made of brass, so they have that gold tint to the metal, but they're painted all black. But as you use them, and most people that buy them, they're trophies. They're expensive cameras. I think with the lens I have on it, it's about a $14,000 setup. Shoots all film, but they're tanks. They were made in the 60s, and they're still immaculate. But it's like, I love the fact that I'm seeing the gold and the brass to come through it.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing that because it's not a trophy. I'm a photographer. Of course, I'm taking photos.
Right.
I didn't buy this to set it on a shelf.
Right.
I bought this because it was my dream camera
Right.
to be used as a camera.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the bike or like, to your original question, the sneakers. it's like they're there to be put on your feet and worn. You know, I'm not going to flip out. And, you know, that's one of those things. That's why I love, you know, there's, you know, you're one of them. There's, you know, 5 or 6 people in here I bought sneakers for that I knew were fans. And it's like, I love seeing that people wear them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like it'd be like, I would not be okay. Like if I spent money on something and they just never wore them.
Yeah. I've made it a point to make sure I wear them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, because I used to be a sneakerhead, but like, you know, as I got older, I had kids young. Right? So like my sneaker craze went out the window with them kids, right? So like,
sure.
You know, the fact that, you know, for a birthday, you know, Will walked in and was like, here, you know, like, here's a pair of sneakers, man. Like, that's a big deal because like I can't necessarily do that for myself. I do it for my kids, but like, you know, once you got 2 kids and you're buying 2 pairs of Jordans for 2 kids, like,
But and it's like,
mommy and daddy don't get those,
right. Yeah.
you know, so.
Not much left, right?
You know, but yeah, it's definitely cool. But so let's do this, right? We're probably at about time.
Yeah.
For
so
episode 1.
we are.
Mhm.
Yes.
Let's
part 1.
Let's cut it here.
Yep.
Part 1. I don't even know what we say, right? Like we coming back. So
we're coming back. We're just gonna take a quick break, quick 5, and you know, come right back and keep smoking this cigar and
keep talking.
Ask Will some other questions
Yeah.
about his life. He got interesting.
He
life,
took
man.
us into photography. So
Man.
now he opened it. I wasn't gonna go there
I know,
until
right?
he brought it up.
Yeah.
So he brought it up. So we're gonna go into the photography when we get back.
Yeah, we'll get more into that.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, man. We'll see you soon.
See you on the next one.